In the aftermath of the Reaper War, the galaxy breathed for the first time in centuries. Ruins of once great fleets drifted through silent space, reminders of the cost of survival cities rebuilt under flickering stars. Alliances were reforged, and the name Shepard became a whisper carried between generations, a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and impossible victory. But among the endless stars, silence hides more than peace. There were signals no one could explain, disappearances no one could account for, and secrets too dangerous to be spoken aloud. Historians wrote that the war had ended, that the galaxy had been reborn. Yet those who had fought on the front lines knew better. Something unseen stirred beyond the edge of known space, something that had survived the fall of the Reaper's whispers spread through forgotten outposts and encrypted channels, rumors of battles fought in the dark, without recognition, without record. The official archives remained silent, but the truth had not vanished. It had simply been buried. And at the center of that silence was a single name, Commander Shepard. Some said he died a hero. Others claimed he lived as a ghost, a phantom watching over the fragile calm. But the truth was far stranger. For while the galaxy celebrated its peace, another war had already begun, one that would never be written in any history book, yet would shape the fate of every star that still burned. The edge of the galaxy was a place forgotten by most, silent, cold, and endless. Yet on the remote observation station Helios 9, silence was broken by a faint, distorted signal. It was weak, barely more than static, but its pattern was unmistakably artificial. Lieutenant Arden, the station's operator, leaned closer to the screen, watching the code repeat like a heartbeat echoing across the stars. At first, he thought it was interference, cosmic radiation or a system glitch, but then the signal changed, shifting into a rhythm no random noise could make. Within hours, the anomaly reached the scientific networks of the Citadel. Dr. Liara Tissoni, once an archaeologist and now the shadow broker, sat in her private chamber, surrounded by flickering holograms. Her eyes followed the waveform with growing unease. The last time the galaxy had seen a signal like this, it had marked the beginning of the Reaper invasion. She whispered softly to herself, "No, it can't be." But deep down, she knew. The pattern wasn't Reaper technology, it was older, colder, and somehow familiar. Liara sent encrypted messages to old allies, names scattered across the rebuilt systems: Admiral Hackett, Garrus Vakarian, and Talizora. Each one answered the same way: disbelief, then silence. The galaxy was tired of war. No one wanted to believe another threat was out there, lurking beyond the void. But Liara knew better than to ignore the unknown. She had seen too much to trust peace. 3 days later, the station Helios 9 went dark. No distress signal, no life signs, only a final transmission, an audio fragment so distorted it barely made sense. But one word, spoken through the static, sent chills down Liara's spine. Shepard. The name echoed like a ghost through the system, a memory refusing to die. Liara stood before the observation deck of her ship, staring into the stars that once brought hope and now felt like silent witnesses. "If he's out there," she murmured, "then something's gone terribly wrong." Her hands trembled slightly as she activated her ship's coordinates. The course was set toward the outer rim, where the void itself whispered secrets. And so it began again, not with armies, not with fire, but with a signal, a single message from the darkness that would pull the galaxy back into the storm. The stars above the barren moon of Theron burned faintly through the haze of dust and ash. Liara's ship descended slowly, its scanners locked onto strange energy readings coming from the planet's surface. As the landing ramp opened, the team stepped into a wasteland, blackened ruins stretching to the horizon. The ground was scarred by weapons far beyond anything known to the current age. It was a graveyard of civilizations. And in the distance, half buried beneath twisted metal and glass, they found a symbol carved into a fallen tower, a jagged circle intersected by a single line. Liara's eyes widened. "The mark of the Reapers," she whispered. But below it, something new had been etched, a single word, heirs. Days later, the name spread across galactic networks like wildfire. The heirs, or Warithon in their own language, had revealed themselves through encrypted broadcasts. Their leader, a tall figure draped in black armor, spoke with a calm authority that chilled every listener. "The cycle must continue," the voice declared. "We are the legacy. We are the evolution of perfection." His tone carried the same eerie resonance the Reapers once had, but it was human in cadence, almost. Familiar. Governments across the galaxy panicked. Fleets were mobilized, intelligence agencies reactivated. But Liara focused on one detail others missed, the strange rhythm of the speaker's voice. She ran an analysis, comparing it to old audio files buried in Alliance archives. The result hit her like a shockwave, 89% match. The voice was almost identical to Commander Shepard's. "That's impossible," Garrus muttered as he read the report beside her. "Shepard's gone. He gave everything in the Crucible." But the more Liara listened, the more she began to doubt. As the heirs' attacks began, surgical strikes on communication arrays, energy relays, and deep space beacons, one truth became clear. They weren't trying to conquer. They were erasing. Every trace of Reaper technology, every record of the war, was being systematically destroyed. It was as if someone wanted to rewrite history itself. The galaxy watched in silence as worlds once rebuilt from ruin began to fall into shadow again. During a mission to intercept one of the heirs' carriers, Liara's ship was ambushed. The enemy's ships moved with impossible precision, predicting every move before it was made. But just as the strike was about to end them, the attack stopped. The lead ship sent a single transmission directly to Liara's console. On the screen appeared a familiar N7 insignia, flickering between static and darkness. A low, broken voice followed, "Stay away, Liara! This isn't your war!" Silence filled the cabin. Garrus clenched his fist. "That was him," he said quietly. Liara could barely breathe. The galaxy's greatest hero was either alive or something wearing his face had returned. And as the stars outside shimmered with cold light, one truth became undeniable. The shadows of the Reapers had found a new master. In the cold silence of a derelict station orbiting a dying star, a recovery team stumbles upon a sealed emergency capsule. Its markings are old, worn, but unmistakable, Alliance tech from the Reaper War. As they pry it open, a faint blue light flickers to life. Inside lies something unexpected, a data core still pulsing with fragmented recordings bearing one name, Commander Shepard. When Liara receives the transmission, her hands tremble. She runs the fragments through every known decryption system, and slowly the echoes of Shepard's voice return. The recordings reveal pieces of a battle no one knew existed, one fought far from any star, in the black void where the Reapers once vanished. Each line of dialogue, each image, paints the same haunting picture. Shepard never stopped fighting. The recovered memories show Shepard alone, facing something far worse than the Reapers themselves, a presence that spoke through static, ancient and mechanical, warning that the harvest was never the end. The commander's words are cut with static, but one message is clear. If you find this, the cycle is broken, but not destroyed. The discovery sends ripples across the galaxy. Old allies reunite under uneasy skies, unsure if they're chasing truth or a ghost. Some believe Shepard is alive, trapped somewhere beyond known space. Others fear the data was planted, a trick from the mysterious faction now calling themselves the Heirs. Yet Liara can't shake a single, persistent thought, the kind that keeps her awake through the long nights of deep space. If these memories are real, then Shepard made a choice at the end of the war, a choice that changed everything. And as the final fragment plays, the screen fades to black. Shepard's voice whispering one last time, almost too faint to hear. I found what they were hiding. It's coming. The galaxy trembled once more. News of the mysterious signals and the rise of the Heirs spread faster than light, forcing the once proud species of the Milky Way to meet again. The Turians, Krogans, and Solarians, races that had shed blood together during the Reaper War, now faced a new call to arms. But this time, their unity was fragile. Trust had faded over the years, and old scars were easy to reopen. Still, the shadow of a greater threat pushed them to the same table. Once more, Liara stood before the council chamber, her voice calm but urgent. "If we hesitate now, we lose everything we rebuilt," she said. The room buzzed with doubt and tension. The Krogan leader grunted, crossing his arms. "We fought the Reapers once. Don't ask us to fight ghosts." The Solarian representative adjusted his visor. "And yet," he muttered, "ghosts don't send encrypted transmissions from Shepard's old frequency." Silence followed. Even the Turians looked uneasy. That was when the doors opened. A tall figure stepped in, armor-scarred, the Alliance emblem faint but visible. The air froze, his walk, his posture, even the way he scanned the room. It was all too familiar. Liara's heart stopped. Shepard. But as the figure removed his helmet, something felt wrong. The face was almost perfect. Almost. The eyes were colder, the voice too steady. "The galaxy needs order," he said. "Follow me, and I will give it to you." Whispers filled the chamber. Some felt hope ignite again, others fear. The Krogan laughed. "You sound nothing like the Shepard I knew." The figure's response was sharp, mechanical in tone. "That Shepard failed, I will not." The words hung heavy, each one cutting through the fragile peace. The Turian's commander leaned toward Liara. "If that's him, he's not the same man." Liara's gaze hardened. "No," she whispered, "he's not Shepard, but someone wants us to believe he is." Behind her calm expression, her mind raced. Could these be the consequences of Shepard's final choice, the fragments of his mind, or something that wore his face for another purpose? Outside the council halls, fleets began to mobilize once more. Old engines roared to life across alien worlds. Soldiers donned armor they swore they'd never wear again, and banners of alliance fluttered in cold starlight. The galaxy was preparing for war again, but this time no one was certain who the real enemy was. The truth came like a blade through the dark. Deep within the ruins of an abandoned Reaper facility, Liara and her team uncovered what they had feared all along. Commander Shepard was alive. Suspended in a containment chamber, his body was scarred, but his mind fractured. Streams of data surrounded him like whispers, fragments of commands, and alien symbols woven into his neural patterns. The Heirs hadn't killed him. They had rewritten him. When Shepard awoke, he didn't recognize the faces before him. The light in his eyes flickered between confusion and rage. Memories flashed in broken sequences, Earth burning, the Crucible's light, then darkness. And through it all, a voice, cold, mechanical, and familiar, echoed in his thoughts. "You could have been more." Shepard's breathing quickened as he realized what they had done. The Heirs had turned him into their weapon, a perfect hybrid of human instinct and Reaper control. Liara approached carefully. "Shepard, it's me. You're safe now." But the word safe meant nothing. Inside his mind, the war was still raging. He saw the Reapers not as enemies, but as systems of order. He understood their logic now, their need to bring balance through destruction. A terrifying clarity settled in him. He could end the chaos forever if he simply let go of what was left of his humanity. The heir's leader appeared on the chamber's projection screen, his voice smooth and persuasive. "You've seen the truth, Shepard. The galaxy will always fall into war. Take control. Lead them as one mind. End the cycle." Shepard's pulse slowed. He felt the weight of the entire galaxy pressing on his chest. Could he truly sacrifice himself again? Or worse, become the very thing he once destroyed? Liara's voice broke through the static. "Don't let them define you. You're not their creation. You're our hope." For a long moment, Shepard said nothing. The alarms blared, the structure trembled, and the stars outside seemed to hold their breath. Finally, he looked up, his eyes steady, clear. "Then hope dies with me," he said softly. He pressed his hand against the console, initiating a sequence that would erase both him and the heir's network forever. Light engulfed the chamber. The last thing Liara heard was his voice, faint and resolute. "Tell them. The choice was mine." And as the station collapsed into silence, the galaxy felt the echo of a hero's will. One final time. The stars were quiet again. The ruins of the heir's fortress drifted silently through space, cold and lifeless. The galaxy had found peace, fragile, trembling peace, but peace nonetheless. Fleets returned to their homeworlds, soldiers laid down their weapons, and the endless hum of war began to fade into memory. Yet somewhere in that silence, an unmarked ship vanished into the shadows of the Perseus Veil, its signal lost, its destination unknown. Over the years, stories began to spread across colonies and stations, whispers of a ghost ship seen on the edges of dark space, a lone figure walking among the stars when hope was nearly gone. Some said it was a lie, a legend created to comfort the broken. Others believed it was Shepard himself, watching from afar, waiting for the moment when the galaxy would need him again. The truth was uncertain, but the feeling was real. And so the forgotten war became a myth, told by travelers around flickering campfires and children under the domes of distant worlds. They spoke of a commander who defied fate, who chose sacrifice over power, and whose will still echoed through time. Maybe Shepard was gone, maybe he wasn't. But one truth remained unshaken: heroes never truly die. They simply wait until the galaxy remembers their name once more.